Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Okay, you've actually done a soundtrack to an animated, I guess it's a series, Odyssey, Into the Mind's Eye.
Odyssey into the Mind's Eye.
Into the Mind's Eye. What exactly is that? So,
It's a collection of computer animations. The animators submit stuff to the producer. When he's amassed enough animated, they're short clips, song length clips, then he finds someone to record music for all of them. They have no sound, it's just animation. So Stephen Churchill's his name. He contacted me and said, would you like to do this? And I said, well, I'm not familiar with it. Could you send me some of the previous releases? And he said, these have all gone like gold as VHS releases. And DVDs were just starting to come out. And I thought, well, this sounds good to me, you know. Send me some of the previous releases. And I really liked them. I thought, well, these are cool. So I said, well, I'll do this. What's involved? Well, what was involved? Oh my gosh, it was a real education. I'd always wanted to do music for film, but I always thought it would be, I would write something for a film and then they'd put it in a movie. Well, this was, you have to write to this animated feature, frame by frame, beat by beat. It all has to match up exactly with what's going on the screen. So it was the most challenging thing. I tell you, and plus, no offense to Stephen Churchill, but I found out that video people are not music people. They don't understand much about music. Because I would work so hard to get this thing in sync, then I would send him back to California for him to hear, and he'd come back to me and say, oh, we edited the piece. I said, you edited it? Where does this edit take place? Well, he had just cut the video where he wanted the video to be edited, but it had nothing to do with the music. It was in the middle of a measure, in the middle of a beat. It was not, and so I had to rewrite the piece, re-record it again. what I liked doing this. It was great fun. I learned a lot about working with video, and I know the first thing I learned is I'll never do it again. I don't ever want to do that again. I shouldn't say that, but maybe I should. But it was so challenging that I was just exhausted by the time the piece was over. And I was churning out all these musical ideas that were pretty cool. But once again, this is a case of being rushed, of being hurried, which is the thing I most hate. I did not get to spend the time. In fact, this piece, when it was released, was not even mastered. Don't get me wrong, it was not poorly mastered. It was not mastered at all. I sent the final mixes off to California, and the next time, and I asked him, what about mastering? He said, well, we'll take care of that. And I thought, well, are you going to master, or am I, or what? Well, it came out, it wasn't mastered.
It was just as you had sent it to him?
Yeah, it was just as I had sent it to him, so it was never mastered. And so I'm probably going to redo some of that music at some point. I released the soundtrack.
Which is mastered.
Which, well, yeah, it is. But it was basically, there was so much more I wanted to do with these pieces of music. There was a ton more, so look for that in the future sometime too.
In 2003, Cuneiform Records issued a collection of Kansas recordings under the title Proto-Kaw.
Right.
What exactly is Proto-Kaw?
Well, in 2002, I don't remember quite how this began, but I was reviewing some old tapes that I had. I had these studio recordings that the very early Kansas had recorded. And I thought, these tapes were out there on the internet. People were passing them around.
Bootlegs?
Yeah, and what they had out there was a cassette copy of a cassette copy of a cassette copy ad infinitum. And I had the originals, the original masters. So I thought, if I was to put this out, and it wouldn't take any great effort to put it out, it would be a curious thing to put out for Kansas collectors. And plus, these guys would have this album, which hasn't been heard in, 30 years. They would have some closure on their careers with this album.
Now this is Kansas 1.
No, there were 3 Kansases.
Okay.
Kansas 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
This was Kansas 2.
Kansas 2.
Which was prior. So obviously Kansas 3 is the one that everybody
Sure.
knows. So this was the band immediately prior to that. And we had done some studio demos. And so I took these tracks and did everything I could with them. It was just on a 7-inch reel. So it wasn't much to work with, but I took these old recordings and edited them some, and contacted Cuneiform, who actually they had contacted me prior to this. Now that's how it happened. And said, "Do you have any old Kansas recordings?" I said, "Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do." So I took these tapes and sent them off, and I got a hold of the guys. One by one, I tracked down the guys in what I was then calling Proto-Kaw, which is proto means early version of, and Kaw is the Kansas Indian word for Kansas. So early version of Kansas is what Proto-Kaw means. And we didn't know what we were going to call ourselves initially, but we came up with that. And that's the best name I could think of. So I rounded up all these guys, and before I sent the tapes off and said, "Hey guys, I'm thinking of releasing this. What do you think?" Well, they all thought it was a great idea. So we did release it, And the next thing we know, they said, well, what about we get together and have a release party? And we'll do it in Kansas City, and we'll invite all our friends, and we'll put it on the internet. Anybody that wants to come can come. And we invited some other musicians as well. Then we got the idea of, well, are we going to play? And we knew that we couldn't possibly get together and learn this material, but we decided we'll get together and just jam. Because Proto-Kaw, unlike Kansas, Proto-Kaw was a jamming band. We used to just jam like crazy. Long, extended jams. There was some of that in Kansas, but Kansas was very structured in comparison. So we decided to do that, and we jammed at this party. We had some other musicians up there playing as well.
I remember Dwayne Bailey coming.
Dwayne Bailey came, yeah. Dwayne Bailey, interestingly, well, he's the past guitarist for Chicago. He also played with Bob Seger and played with Chicago. And so he was on stage with us, and we were playing. And we took a break, and we went out in the parking lot. And I was standing around with all the guys from formerly with Kansas. And this idea came to me. I said, I'm not embroiled in some project right now. So I was looking for a new project. And I said, what would you guys think if we got together and recorded an actual contemporary new album? I'll write new material for it. We'll do a whole album. And they said, man, we're in. And now these are guys who had not played in 30 years. And I didn't know what to say. I thought, are you guys up on your chops? Have you been practicing or something? And none of them had been. Lynn hadn't been singing much. Dan Wright had not. He had sold his keyboards like 25 years ago. He didn't have any instruments. So they got so fired up. These guys were. They were just fired up to beat the band. They were zealous, and they were so zealous that it was just infectious to me.
Well, they were on a mission to prove something.
That they were, and so I think they made a marvelous album. And Proto-Kaw has become quite the band. I mean, we just recorded our counting our original album of demos as our first album. We just recorded our fourth album, which is called Fourth, and that's right. And it's become a very mature group of musicians that I like to work with.
It's a game we play, it's a serious face, and your mind is clear, but you can't see in the haze. And you try again just to make a stand for some reason. It's a funny feeling and it won't go away. You can hear the roar and you can feel the spray, and you're going over the falls and you can't stop it. You're ever moving your dream again. You're gonna wait but you don't know when. You wish it all would just go away, but something's pulling you back again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, Don Montre he was a great big hulking man with a gentle spirit, and he was a great guy, a great friend. He was a talented musician. He was a piano player. But I got a phone call, it's been about 5 years ago now, I think, that he had passed away. He had moved up into state of Washington, and we heard that he was playing in a bar band up there. He always loved to play oldies, 50s songs. And the story his wife told me was that he was playing the piano at a gig, and that he was singing Chantilly Lace was the song. And that he finished the song, folded his arms, and laid his head down on his piano and just died. He had a cerebral hemorrhage, for which I now have the greatest respect for anybody who has cerebral anything. But he died like that, doing what he loved, playing music. But I still miss Don. He was a great friend.